Welcome to Turnpike Sports. I'm Dave Weishottle, and as always, I'm joined by my producer and co-host, Doug Weishottle. Doug, I guess this is kind of a teaser here. You're actually performing an experiment, a sports betting experiment. I'm not going to get too deep into it.
It's not that deep.
I'm not going to say the results, but what is the thought process behind this kind of an interesting experiment? You told me you were going to do it. I first thought, why would you do that? But, it's interesting. Enough sports bettors have brought this up. So what is it? What are you doing?
The last week or so, I've been seeing a lot of people talk about this run scored in the first inning bet type that everybody's been making, the over-under of half a run
By the way,
first inning.
Last year we had Logan Fields on, who is a professional sports bettor. He wrote the book 2020 Sports Betting, and he even said about the total of the first inning.
Yeah, he had an entire section in his book
Yeah.
about it. So I decided, everyone's talking about it. I need to see it for myself. And this is the first time I'm actually doing a sports betting experiment, if you want to call it that.
I think we might be overdoing it when we call it an experiment. There's no white coat involved in it, but
there's
it's an interesting result so far. The preliminary results that you told me are interesting. I guess the whole thought behind it is the over a half a run. Is that the whole thing?
A couple different people have said the over half a run has greater odds of success than doing the under half a run for an inning.
Okay.
The first inning.
The first inning. Just the first inning.
Just the first inning. So what I've done, I've been spending the week, every day of this week, I've been betting on all the Major League Baseball games.
So all of them. You hit all of them,
all
right?
of them. There were 15 on a Sunday, 12 on Monday, 11. And one or two of them didn't have that offer, that inning, first inning offer.
Really? Interesting. I thought that was kind of a standard thing for all games.
I thought so too, but I also noticed it was one of the double headers that got pushed back from the postponements. Of the opening.
All right.
So sometimes because
maybe
they don't know the pitchers.
The pitchers weren't established yet on the odds sheet.
But I've been doing every day betting on the over for all the games on the Major League Baseball slate.
Now don't give the results of your experiment.
No.
Next week's show, right?
I'll do next week's show.
Okay.
We'll do it as exit one. We can talk about it.
You wanted a big sample size.
So I wanted a week.
I would guess the big sample size is probably the more accurate.
The more you do, the better the results become. But I'm doing a 7-day test period because, quite honestly, I just want to see.
How bored are you, by the way?
That's part of it.
My goodness.
No. It's just I've seen so many people talk about it. I wanted to see it for myself.
Yeah.
And actually, it is kind of interesting what I'm seeing so far.
Without giving away the results, are you surprised at what you found out?
I'll be surprised after 2 more days.
Okay.
If it actually this pattern holds that.
So far, is it going well?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm making money, as a matter of fact.
Okay. All right. Well, that I didn't want you to. You're making money, but you won't say how much money.
No, I won't. No.
But no, I wanted you to tease that a little bit until next week. Okay.
Right now, I'm making money. By the time this airs, I probably will lose it all.
Okay. All right.
Right now, we're taping towards 2/3 of the experiment being done.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No, but I'm very interested. Now, will you write it up like a scientific report? Will you?
I'm thinking of doing a spreadsheet
for the blog. You want to do it for the blog?
I'm
you want to put
putting it together
results in the blog
just to see what the results are. I mean,
okay.
It's just curiosity, call it that.
Okay. Well, very interesting. So, but we have a great show coming up for you now. We have Beating the House. We have a book report. And I'm talking with Paul Burns, the CEO and president of the Canadian Gaming Association. Canada had a huge launch on April 4th. The regulated online sites in Ontario. Private operators in Ontario. And I'm talking about online sports betting, online casinos, online poker.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
Yes.
So, no, it's regulated in Ontario now, and Paul Burns is going to come up and tell us how it went, what we can expect from the other provinces as well.
And we'll also get his thoughts, too.
Yeah, no, very interesting. A huge day, April 4th, big day for the Canadian gaming institutions and industry up there. Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Exit 1.
Well, since we just did a long intro talking sports betting,
Yeah.
I figured, you know what, Exit 1, instead of doing a sports betting discussion, we're going to talk gambling, but in a kind of a different way.
Okay.
We're going to talk gambling anime.
Okay. All right.
And I was really surprised.
Is it wrong
at
for me to
this.
say cartoons?
Yes.
It's
horribly wrong.
Insulting.
It's insulting.
Absolutely insulting.
Totally
So I will
insulting.
not say cartoons.
No,
I'll
you-
say anime, right?
You have to say anime because it's
All
just
right.
that's the style of animation, Japanese animation.
All right.
Very very interesting story about a new series called High Card
High card.
being developed.
All right.
It's a new series based on the concept of poker. They're using poker as the backdrop for this entire series of anime.
Okay.
Basically, what the series is going to air in 2023. There's going to be manga comics as well as a novel series, and also drama CDs is what they're motion comics basically.
Once again, incredibly insulting if I call it poker cartoons.
Poker cartoons.
No,
if you want, if
really,
you want, if
really
you want to
bad.
insult them,
It'd be
if you want to
really
insult
bad.
them, yes,
okay,
you can go ahead and do that.
I'll get hate mail.
Uh,
So I will not refer to them as poker cartoons.
No,
okay.
no.
All right.
Basically, the plot of the series revolves around a mysterious deck of 52 cards that every one of these characters in this series are trying to obtain.
Okay. Interesting.
Once they obtain all 52 cards in this deck, there's going to be some sort of mysterious powers that they're going to get. Basically, it's kind of one of those control the world kind of deals. If you get this deck of cards, you're going to be the most powerful person on the planet.
So it's like a combination of Lord of the Rings meets Cool Hand Luke.
Something like that.
Kind of. Am I kind of? So
You're fishing in the wrong area for that.
What's
but-
more insulting?
Oh no, that description is much less insulting than poker
cartoons.
Yes.
Is it poker cartoons or Lord of the Rings meets Cool Hand Luke? That would be completely wrong. Okay.
Well, the one thing I found interesting about
We're going
some
to
of
get
these stories,
such hate email.
by
I
the
love
way, the
this.
one thing I found interesting
Okay.
about gambling anime in Japan, it's huge.
Okay.
There are
All
multiple
right.
series based upon using gambling as the basis.
Really?
Even though gambling is,
I've never
is
seen
not
one of them. I've
legal
never
in-
heard of them.
There are no casinos in Japan. There's no nothing like that.
Well, maybe that's why.
I guess this is their outlet.
It's like their forbidden fruit kind of thing.
But
gambling,
the one thing I found interesting here is the creator of the series, High Card, is also the creator of a series called Kakagori.
Okay, Kakagori.
The full name, Kakagori
Okay.
Compulsive Gambler.
Oh, wait, is that the one where this gambler bets on every first inning of an MLB game? Is
Are
that
you
the
calling
one?
me Kakagori?
Kakagori?
Yes. No, Kakagori Compulsive Gambler takes place at a private academy.
So compulsive gambler is the name of it.
No, Kakagori Compulsive Gambler.
Oh,
That's the full name.
Kakagori, comma, compulsive gambler.
They have dash.
Okay, dash, compulsive. Okay, that's the name of it. Okay.
Interesting storyline. High school where people are evaluated solely on their gambling skills, and the purpose of the academy, the high school, is to produce future leaders and professionals based upon their ability to beat their peers using gambling.
Interesting.
It's a very interesting,
pretty interesting.
And all the students bring their own money.
But where do you watch this stuff at?
Crunchyroll has it and stuff like that.
What the
Okay, I
hell's
just
Crunchyroll?
threw
What the
another
hell's
one at you.
Crunchyroll?
That's an anime outlet. But
They still make those candy bars?
yes, they still make those candy
Crunchy
bars.
Crunchyroll? That's what it's
Crunchyroll.
called?
Yes, Crunchyroll.
Is that a streaming thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's Crunchyroll.
In the Kakagori, all the students have to bring their own money, and if they succeed, great. If they lose everything, they're ruined. They have to leave. So I'm very curious. I haven't seen that series yet either. I want to.
I kind of like the storyline.
That's a very interesting storyline.
I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, no, I'll look for what was it? Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll.
Where it was,
That's the
is
network.
that a streaming
That's
thing?
a streaming network.
Okay.
The show we just talked about was High Card, and the one that took place in the high school is Kakagori Compulsive Gambler.
Okay, all right.
Exit 2.
Over in the esports world, we have a brand new entrant into e-racing. We have Lamborghini launching its very first esports team.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, they're leaders in racing and cars and everything. Why not get in the esports?
It's very interesting that they didn't launch earlier than this.
Okay. What was that look for you gave me? Like I was crazy for Lamborghini getting into
Well,
esports.
hey, it just you caught me off guard saying
the hell was
something
that?
made sense to you.
Well, it does
Hey,
make sense.
After the Crunchyroll thing in the earlier
all right, well,
threads,
I've
I
heard of
was just-
Lamborghini.
Well, there you go.
So-
So sometimes I do create topics here that
You stared at me for like a couple seconds.
I was just in shock that
Lamborghini,
you-
the car thing, right? Okay.
I was just surprised that you said it that
No,
way.
well, it makes
You
sense.
just caught me totally off guard with that one. But Lamborghini,
I'm assuming the esports has something to do with car racing, right?
it's e-racing. Yes.
Well, see, yes, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
But again, it's one of those things where I just was surprised it took them this long to actually launch an e-team. They launched their first esports team. They're going to compete in a series of virtual races organized by SRO Motorsports Group, which does a lot of virtual racing with a lot of the different car companies out there. Going to be kind of interesting to see the first Lamborghini on the tracks when they do this. They just brought in 3 drivers to compete in the GT World Challenge Esports Sprint Series Europe. And I'm just wondering where these things are televised because I'm very curious to see the Lamborghini car.
Yeah, well, you're curious where they're televised. I'm curious where the drivers are. I mean, do they have to be in one spot? Are they, if one driver's from Spain, he's in Spain. One driver's from Italy, he's in Italy. How does that work? I mean,
I'm glad you asked that
Oh, okay,
because every organization does it differently.
okay,
And also every competition does it differently. A lot of the competitions want all the racers in one location.
okay,
If you like some of the esports tournaments, all the teams have to be at the one stadium.
okay,
Some of the races are like that. Other races are you have to have your team housed in one building.
okay.
Other competitions don't care where the racers are. If
You
they've
know,
got their own rig,
You rarely think of race car driver as a work from home kind of occupation.
it became that during the pandemic.
I love that. That's great.
If you think of the pandemic actually spurred on the iRacing.
But let me tell you something. If you were part of a team, or if I was head of a team, I kind of would like all my racers in one spot. You can
just in
kinda,
case there's a problem,
there's
too.
in case there's a problem with one of them or anything like that, and they're not gonna be late. They're not gonna, you know what they're doing. So I kind of like them all in one place.
I guess it's a matter of comfort level with the coaches too.
Sure.
Are
they called coaches?
They're coaches.
Okay.
They're called coaches. As a matter of fact, besides the 3 drivers,
See, in car racing, I've never heard of someone referred to as a coach.
well, according to what I've been reading here about Lamborghini, they're going to have a team principal, which is the head of the team, like a manager,
All right.
a driver coach,
Oh, okay. They use the word coach.
and engineers.
Okay.
So I'm assuming the engineers are not only the guys that physically make the driving
They're
rig,
mechanics.
well, the driving
They're the
rig,
mechanics,
but also
yeah.
the guys who actually make the database fine
Sure.
too.
Sure. I guess so.
I don't know exactly what kind of engineer these people are, but
Well, I guess engineer. If
Could be
if
anything.
something's wrong, I don't even know what they call these things. They call them like rigs that they're
that's
sitting
how I
into.
refer to them
kinda?
as rigs. Yeah,
Okay.
A lot
So
of them are just.
if there's a problem with that, they have an engineer there.
If you actually ever looked at the iRacing that was on Fox Sports for a while, the rigs that the drivers use are just amazing to look at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're like little capsules they sit in,
Well, weren't they done?
frames and everything.
Weren't they
They're-
made for like simulations for coaching? I'm using that word for instruction and things like that. I mean, before the pandemic hit, certainly they were using simulations and things like that to help them, help them train and help them get, understand what the car is about, what it can do, and aren't they just transferring that into e-racing?
Well, not only were they used to train drivers, but a lot of the track designers
Okay.
used the rigs to actually test out how smooth the ride is on their tracks.
That's what I mean. These rigs were around for a long time. They're
They
just
were
used.
just never used for
They're
this.
just used in different ways.
Yes. And Lamborghini's decision to create this esports team came from last year's launch of the Real Race, which was their esports competition. They actually auctioned off a car to the winner.
Oh, cool.
So whoever won that race, if from what I remember, got a real Lamborghini for winning the race.
That's nice.
So that's a nice little prize there for winning the
Absolutely.
race there.
Drizzly makes it easy to shop a huge selection of beer, wine, and liquor from wherever I am. I just open the app, find what I want, and it's at my door in under 60 minutes.
Drizzly.
Ding dong, Drizzly.
Exit 3.
In today's NFT exit, I can't believe I had to create an exit for NFTs every week. Because
Everyone's
there's
using
so
NFTs.
much going on with the
everyone's
NFTs.
using NFTs.
NFT Stadium announced a deal with PokerGo to launch the new Genesis NFT collection.
Okay.
The collection includes 1,326 unique NFTs.
I am assuming it's poker players doing amazing things at the table, or doing memorable
What, juggling
things.
cards?
Well, I don't know, doing memorable things at the table, right?
1,326 is the number of possible starting hand combinations
Oh,
in
okay.
Texas Hold'em.
All right. Okay.
No word on whether it's some of the variations of Texas Hold'em. I guess it's the classic Texas Hold'em game.
Okay.
So
now, do these
1,300
NFTs
combinations.
open up stuff for PokerGo, or
I
what?
had to actually take a look at NFT Stadium before actually understanding what this entire deal was.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mean to, no pun intended on the deal word, but NFT Stadium actually does virtual events using these NFTs,
Okay. All right.
as well as real life events.
Okay.
What the NFT holders will have once they buy these unique NFTs are PokerGo rewards, including VIP event access. You mean parties,
Great.
real life stuff, free subscriptions,
Real life stuff. Okay.
free subscriptions to a lot of different video segments,
Great.
chances to win pieces of the poker action when their hand appears in winning moments of tournament play.
Ooh, wait a minute. Back up on that one.
Yes,
So if you have the
that
NFT,
was the reason I included this in this segment.
now if you have an NFT of a poker hand that actually shows up on PokerGo,
Yes.
you get a little share
Piece
of
of
that,
the
a
action,
little
possibly,
piece of
yes,
that.
possibly.
Oh, okay.
That is what this is
I like
implying.
that. I like that.
It's a very unique way to introduce NFTs into the poker community. I actually thought this was probably the most unique NFT usage I've seen by poker.
Yeah, I guess they're being used in poker now. I talked with Adam Pliska, who's the CEO of the World Poker Tour, and they're using NFTs now.
But I didn't see them mentioning getting a piece of the action.
No, I did not hear that, but good for PokerGo.
It's a very, very unique, very unique way
Very
to do
interesting.
this.
I like that.
Also, some of the other items that they can get as a reward for buying these non-fungible tokens, signed cards, tournament felts, as well as other digital and physical items related to their NFT hand when it appears in the winning moment.
Oh, okay.
So these NFTs maybe have the ability to continue to give more and more things, not just one time when you buy it.
You know, I heard someone say NFTs are a key that unlocks things. Is that a good way to explain them? For people out there who aren't real
that's
sure about NFT, it's one of their functions, right? Can we say
it
that?
was the main purpose of their functions.
Okay.
Some
All right.
NFTs aren't really NFTs in the classic sense. They don't unlock anything.
Yeah.
You're buying basically a piece of artwork
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the digital space.
Yeah. I mean, in the sports realm, I guess they took the place of like baseball cards kind of thing.
Yes, yes. Well,
Okay.
again, a lot of the NFTs out there, like the ones
We talked about last week. What was it?
Autograph.
Tom Brady?
Yeah, autograph.
Tom Brady
Autograph.
and who else was in there? I can't remember.
well, it was ESPN and Tom Brady.
Yeah, I can't remember. Other than Tom Brady, was it?
Oh, they have
was
a
it Tiger
lot of them.
Woods.
They have Tiger Woods. They
Something
have a
like
whole
that,
bunch
yeah,
of other. But PokerGo actually has hundreds of hours in terms of archive footage that NFTs can be created from.
Oh, absolutely. That's the
So-
first thing I thought of is poker players at the table doing memorable hands and things like that.
I just want to see exactly where they can go from the 1300. I mean, are they going to be able to do one set of 1300, then go back and start all over again with another 1300 that are unique?
I gotta tell you, 1,300's a lot.
Well, not when you're sitting there.
I guess
Not when
I
you're
don't
sitting there
know,
in front of
but
hundreds of hours of footage.
It's a lot more than other places have.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
Yeah,
But Poker Go they're the guys who do World Series of Poker. They do a lot of the other tournament poker that you see on TV, even in conjunction with some of the other leagues, not just World Series, but a whole bunch of. They do the super high roller events too that are on Fox or NBC Sports.
Can I say that's like poker programming is the greatest thing to binge when you're laying on a couch. It's one of those things that you just have it on and I'm mesmerized by it. So I mean, it's some people say who wants to watch poker on TV? I love it, man. It's like one of those things where you're just so mellow and you're just sitting there watching it and you're thinking what I would have done in that other person's place. So I really enjoy poker.
Well, now if you buy an NFT, you
I
can actually be watching for your hand.
I will certainly look for NFTs.
This should increase viewership.
It'll probably increase mine.
Exit 4.
Last exit of the day, we're going to be talking NFL. We've got some NFL news to talk about, dealing with not only just sports betting and data, but also some digital currency as well. So we're going to straddle a couple different exits. We're going to combine them into the last exit for today. We have the NFL investing in Fanatics.
The clothing brand, right?
No, the sports betting operator.
Oh, okay.
Sans clothing brand, and collectibles, and whatever else you want to call them. They're everything.
I think I said this last week. I have a ton of things with Fanatics with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, maybe you'll be able to wear a Fanatics jersey while playing the Fanatics Sportsbook.
I'll do that.
Which is now mostly owned by the NFL. They just were one of the investors in the $1.5 billion funding round in Fanatics. The $1.5 billion funding round brought the entire value of Fanatics up to $27 billion.
Wow. Okay.
I can't believe they're valued at that much.
Well, obviously they're like I just said. I got a whole bunch of Fanatics Philly stuff. With that made all my gear that I wear to the Phillies games. So So obviously, and I'm not one to wear a lot of sports gear. I know people who wear sports gear every day. So
I can't do that every day.
I can imagine they're worth $27 billion.
Well, they are now the NFL is now one of their main investors.
Okay.
So if you see a Fanatics sportsbook launching, the NFL is going to be co-owner of that. If you think about it,
well, hey, makes sense.
It makes sense, especially nowadays. Especially now that the NFL is the largest U.S. shareholder in Genius Sports,
Okay.
the data company. They exercise their warrants, and they now have the fourth largest shareholder stake with 7.7% of the company.
Didn't you mean exercise their options?
Well, they're called warrants.
Really?
They're called warrants.
I've been a lawyer for over 20. I've never said warrants in terms of this
when
thing.
you do one of these types of deals,
I always say options.
They're given warrants.
Okay.
And you have to cash those in.
Okay.
So they
I always use the term options.
It's the same thing.
I know.
Same thing. I mean, I just I had it in my notes as warrants, so I said warrants.
Because I used to do criminal law, and warrants are a whole different thing.
Well, in that area, that's a whole
different thing.
No, that's totally different.
So.
But like I said, the enhanced stake that the NFL now holds came after they exercised about 4.25 million other warrants, which vested.
Okay.
See how this is working when they're giving them the deals. They're warrants.
I'll use warrants from now on.
And the NFL is set to receive another 2 million warrants this month, in April here, and also April next year.
Okay.
So we are looking at if the NFL actually exercises all these options, warrants, whatever you want to call them, they're going to own 22.5 million shares of Genius Sports.
Wow.
They will be even bigger in terms of a shareholder than they are now. And why is this important? Is because Genius Sports has the exclusive data deal with the NFL. Fanatics has the sportsbook coming as well as the official licensing with the NFL. Mm-hmm. So the NFL is actually getting all their money back by giving out all these licenses to all these different companies, if you think about
Remember a couple years ago when the NFL was dead set against anything involving sports betting?
The NFL hated
Now-
everything to do with sports betting.
I mean, they're getting in bed with companies that just are the leaders in sports betting. So I think it's been an amazing, 4 years?
Well, I think everyone can agree that when the NFL said they're totally against sports betting, the rest of that sentence that they never said aloud was,
Unless we make the money.
exactly, unless
Okay.
we're making the money. So they are now making the money,
Yep.
and they're going to continue making the money. I'm very curious to see what happens with Sport Radar, because Sport Radar, one of the largest shareholders is the NHL, and they have yet to exercise some of their options, some of their warrants, whatever you want to call it. As a matter of fact, I think I saw the number for the NHL was around $60 million.
Interesting.
So,
yeah.
That'll be kind of interesting to watch. And the other little news coming out of the NFL, the Tennessee Titans announced they are now the first NFL team to accept Bitcoin for key purchases regarding their team.
Okay.
Now, this is not...
What the hell does that mean?
You can't go to the stadium and buy concessions with Bitcoin.
Okay.
You can't buy
Can you
souvenirs.
buy tickets?
You can buy tickets,
Okay.
season tickets,
All right.
suites. You can do your PSL using Bitcoin.
All right. Okay.
That's kind of an interesting one. The PSL by Bitcoin. I guess if you use,
I got to tell you, those PSLs are getting out of hand now.
well, I think
Were they like-
the New York Jets are 15,000.
I think they're more than that. But no, I thought they were.
Well, the
they're
lower
big
bowl
money.
or
Oh.
the upper bowl, whatever.
okay.
The further away you are,
Some of
seat
those are crazy now.
But again, you also can buy sponsorships using Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
The one thing that bothers me about Bitcoin is the fluctuation in its value. Because if you buy a suite with Bitcoin at a certain level of Bitcoin, when that Bitcoin value goes down, do you have to make up the difference in that purchase price from when you bought it? Because Bitcoin
I wouldn't
down?
think so. Hey, if you bought it at the time, it's the value of the time. And keep in mind, Bitcoin can go up in value too. So, wait, you're saying the Tennessee Titans will pay back? Hey, you bought it at this and it went higher, so we're going to give it to you back? No way. So it's the value of the time.
I'm just
There's no way that's happening.
I'm very hesitant to accept a currency that fluctuates like that.
Well, hey,
I know it's the
welcome to
nature of the business.
2022.
And surprisingly, the Titans are not the only professional team accepting Bitcoin. I found out that the Oakland Athletics accept Bitcoin, and the NBA Sacramento Kings and the Dallas Mavericks all accept Bitcoin.
Okay.
So this is the first NFL team, but not the first professional team to work with Bitcoin on certain purchases.
And today's trip down the turnpike was brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
And as always, you can get in touch with Turnpike Sports by calling or texting us at 609-512-5910. That's 609-512-5910. At Turnpike Sports is the show's handle on Facebook and Twitter. At Turnpike Sports Radio is our handle on Instagram. And as always, our email address is info@turnpikesportsradio.com. And don't forget, you can listen to the show via Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, radio.com mobile app, as well as Stitcher and YouTube. You can also watch us on your smart TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. Head on over to turnpikesports.net. You'll be able to watch our video channel there.
We got a Beat in the House segment and also a book report coming up. But right after this, I'm talking with Paul Burns, the CEO and president of the Canadian Gaming Association. On April 4th, Ontario had a huge launch of online sports betting, online casinos, online poker, and Paul's going to fill us in on what's going on in the Canadian gaming market right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
Yeah, you, come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore.
Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and
Lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. Dave Weishottle with you here. April 4th was an incredible day if you're a gambler in Canada. Sports betting, online casinos, online poker. If you enjoy those activities, Canada just became heaven on earth. The expansion of gambling in Canada has just been amazing, and we're going to talk to a person who helped make that happen. On the line, we have the president and CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association, Paul Burns. Paul, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
Again, congratulations. As I said, April 4th was just incredible for the Canadian gambling industry. I mean, mobile sports betting, online casinos, online poker is now offered. Take us back to April 4th. What went live? Where did it go live? I mean, give us your impressions of what that day was like.
Well, it was a great day to finally have happen. Because as you know, the Ontario, Canada in particular, was home for a very large gray market. About $1 billion a year in GGR leaving Canada to offshore online operators. About half of that from the province of Ontario. And so, 4 years ago, the province of Ontario started the discussions about looking at options to create a regulated market for online gaming. As the largest province, most population within, and it would be the 5th largest jurisdiction in North America when you compare it to the U.S. states. They decided to move forward, and in a fairly, by government standards, 3 years in short order, did a lot of great work and got the regulatory framework set up, the revenue share model created, and we saw the first day 12 companies with 17 sites enter the market. We're going to get more in the days and weeks and months ahead. I think now there's in the mid-20s of operators have now been registered, and there's more added every day. There's probably close to 60, 70 suppliers in the queue. They even got applications last week before the deadline. So because they said to everybody, if your application's in before April 4, you can stay in the market and transition in. If you don't do that, you'll be deemed a legal operator and take your chances. So there's been a great take-up, and I suspect somewhere closer to 40 by the end of, closer to probably next fall, will be in the marketplace in Ontario. We'll see how everybody does. But it was a great sort of wall to get over to get in to the market, because now it started. Now it's really, it's the operators and for the consumers will decide, what they like and what they don't like, and hopefully it's a healthy, competitive market.
Give us a little overview of the gambling industry in Canada. I mean, you mentioned provinces. I mean, in the U.S., the individual states here regulate the gambling within their borders. Is that what it's like in Canada? The province regulate gaming within their territory, right?
They do, and that's why, the gaming is the overarching laws are in the federal criminal code. It's kind of backwards, because it says all gaming is illegal unless it's conducted and managed by the provincial government or their agents. And it's that last line about conduct and manage that's been interpreted 6-7 different ways by the provinces. They're free to do what they wish to do. They regulate within their jurisdiction. So Ontario was and is the first jurisdiction to create a regulated marketplace, and we'd like to see more jurisdictions look at a regulatory model. Okay, and just like in the U.S., not everybody's going to be the same. Sure. Ontario took a step of being an open license model. Anybody can come and apply. I mean, that's unique to North America right now, and I think that's will that work everywhere? It may not. For some, it may be the best option. For others, they may choose a more tethered model. They may choose a limited number of licenses. Because Ontario does represent about 40-45% of the Canadian population. It's the biggest province, unique in that regard. And so that may work for them, and others are going to have to. We want them to take a look at the opportunity now to say what you can do, because they do a lot of complaining about the gray market, but they don't do anything to solve it. And we finally had a jurisdiction that said, yes, solve it, because we want to get a bit of a level playing field for the industry. The casino operators in Ontario wanted to enter the online gaming market and extend their brands. The province still has some work to do to make sure that platform is truly level, and there's work to be done still, and they recognize that. But they, that's the way the industry is going. We want to be able to extend their brand, that omni-channel experience. So on all levels, this was a good day to move the industry forward a little bit and start a bit more evolution. Canada's punched way above its weight in the online gaming world. PokerStars was founded here in Toronto, and Flutter International has a technology development center. They have about 550 people here working in the Toronto area. Been here for 20 years. And, we've had a lot of early pioneers in the industry came out of Canada. And this licensing model now is a real invitation for people to come back to Ontario and Canada, set up their businesses, and do business from here. And that's part of what I'm spending a lot of time talking about is the association.
Now, summertime's coming up, and I know a lot of people will be traveling this summer, and Canada is an absolutely beautiful place to visit. And I just want to clear up some things. So for people who visit Canada, do you have to be physically present in the particular territory or province to place a bet online there? I mean, if you can't if you're in one province, you can't place a bet with a provider in another province. Is that correct?
That is correct. You must be within the boundaries of the province of Ontario to participate. And you don't have to be a resident of Ontario, but you have to be present. And so looking at the geolocation map and things on in the early days of the 4th and 5th, and a lot of activity on some of the borders, particularly in the border between Ontario and Quebec.
I was actually going to ask you that, because any time in the U.S., after a big betting event like the Super Bowl or March Madness, we have the stories coming out that some people who are not in the jurisdiction try to place bets in a jurisdiction there that has online gambling. I know it's early in the process, but have there been issues with gamblers testing the geofencing?
I haven't heard anything significant, to be honest. I mean, the technology works really well. Two, the KYC provisions, so the customer sign-up provisions, are robust in the sense of having to provide a piece of identification that's photographed. So you got to prove you live in the province. You have to be verified, and so it's great that technology is that operators are using is so robust that it makes it. I've signed up for 2 or 3 of the apps, and in 3-4 minutes you're done. It's great, but they do ask you have to have your ID ready, and you have to do those things. So it's not easy at all, and so they want to know who you are, and then obviously through geolocation they know where you are, and it seems to be working. I haven't heard of any major issues at this point from operator. Everybody's really pleased.
Well, let me ask you about
the way
that.
all of their technologies performed to date.
Okay, well, yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, generally, how did the April 4th opening go? Did you hear about any problems or glitches in the system? Was everyone pleased with how everything went that day?
They were.
Okay,
I mean, there was really 2 groups in that day, because operators like Bet365. Bet365 has been in the Canadian gray market for years. I would say they're the largest operator in the province, with a very healthy market share. But they needed to transition their customers to a new platform and have them re-verify their KYC, their identity information. So they had to go. They had to move mountains, and by and large, I heard pretty positive things. It wasn't an easy exercise, I'm sure, and customers don't always understand the nuances of gaming regulation, or nor do they want to. So it's like, why are you making me do this? There was future bets that had to be canceled and reissued or cashed out. So there were a lot of customer service issues for operators who are transitioning from what was the gray market into the legal regulated market. And that was a unique feature where Ontario didn't force people out, didn't make them abandon their customers. They just said, no, if you apply and get your process going before April 4th, you'll be allowed to transition your customers. So it's been for them, it's, a process of having to move customers to a compliant platform. We do their KYC information, and it's been, by and large, it's worked really well for everybody. I've heard no major complaints. The one significant impact for some segment is a DFS player. Ontario doesn't have liquidity at this point for beyond its borders. We, as an industry, want to see international liquidity, much like UK or other jurisdictions have. That's what actually people in Canada have been used to. And so liquidity was the biggest barrier, but DFS has also been treated as a gambling product. And so some operators, more because of liquidity and not being able to, because the definition of what's a skill game in Canada is very different than the U.S. And so that's been the biggest bump where customers have seen products they like go away. And I don't think it'll be forever. I think it's, but the liquidity issue is one that's outstanding that the industry would like to see resolved. And I think even the government agencies would like to have liquidity. That was their opening position years ago when they started this, and there's some battles between lawyers, basically, that still haven't been solved. So,
well, I was going to ask you about that because one of the big stories here was, FanDuel was a licensed sportsbook operator in Canada, and all of a sudden now they're not offering daily fantasy sports. I'm glad you brought that up. So is that a big issue with other providers as well?
It has been with some. Obviously, it was with DraftKings as well as they prepare, and they. But we've also, there's some. I've spoken to the DFS Association, and I've spoken to some of the Canadian DFS operators that have been working in the market, and they're, as pure play DFS operators, it's the liquidity question has really been the biggest one, and not being able to pool anymore, and so that's it was whether it's treated and regulated as a gambling product is those issues can is it the right regulatory level? Is it the right revenue share model? Is it all of those things? Those can be discussed. The liquidity question is a strong legal question. Without it, they really can't do business. It's hard.
Sure.
And that's one we want to see solved. So is it a forever? Maybe not. Let's hope not, but we'll see.
Well, we mentioned sports betting, so I might as well start there. Who were the major operators that went live on April 4th for sports betting?
So we had Caesars.com went up with a website. BetMGM launched their app. FanDuel, Leo Vegas, PointsBet, BetRivers, 365, as I mentioned earlier, Unibet, 888. So, and The Score, which is obviously a Toronto-based book, and doing great work up here. Rivalry was another Ontario, Toronto-based company that started with a specialization in esports. They have a license in Australia, and now they're licensed here in Ontario and up and running. So it's still growing, the list. There will be more coming. We'll expect, the B1 Party Group is coming in with, we have Betway. We, in fact, DraftKings has reiterated publicly their intentions to enter the market in short order. They're still working through the process. We have another Canadian-based operator called Bet99, which had been in the gray market, and then they are transitioning to the legal regulated market. So it's because they can offer casino games as well. It's made it a lot more attractive to have a full-on gaming suite for everybody to enter this market, and I think that's been part of the attraction. We've got some unique brands coming, and it's going to be it's going to be exciting. I think we've still, there's applications in the process, and so in the coming weeks and months, we'll see more.
Are there any uniquely Canadian operators? One of the great stories in the U.S. is a sports book called Tennessee Action 24/7. It's run by people from Tennessee for just the state of Tennessee. Are there any Canadian operators like that just for Canada?
Yes, there's a couple, and one other I didn't mention. It's called North Star Bets.
Oh, okay.
And North Star is actually a division of the Toronto Star, which is Canada's largest daily newspaper.
Mm-hmm. Wow, okay.
And so North Star will be launching in a few weeks. But we have them. The Score, obviously, as being a homegrown Toronto-based organization. As I mentioned earlier, Bet99, Rivalry, all have been our local players who companies are based here and operating. So will we see more? I don't know at this point, but that's a good start. And I suspect we have, and we also have a lot of good Canadian companies in the supplier side as well. So it's been, we're a great technology center in the Greater Toronto area. With the Score, after they were bought out by Penn, announced the expansion of their office. They're moving into a new 80,000 square foot office. They've probably hired 200 people in the last year, and they're on track to hire 200 more. They've rebuilt their own tech stack.
Wow.
GAN has a development office here. Bet Rivers has about 50 people here doing technology and development work. And that's the other side of this, is that there's great depth of technology talent, and that's why so many companies are starting to look to set up offices here, because they can get their tech work and development work done here. Province of Ontario has a digital tax credit for wages, so you can get up to 30% of your wages back.
Whoa.
Doing technology development work. So there's lots of great attributes and why people are sort of coming, and why it's easy for companies like The Score, North Star, Bet99, and others to get their operations up and running.
Now, every week in the U.S., you hear about the deals sports leagues are making with sportsbook operators. Is that the case in Canada? What has been the sports league's reaction to the start of the sports betting in the country in terms of deals?
Well, they've been very much embracing this. So the two largest, and the sports media side, because in Canada, the two largest sports networks, Sportsnet and TSN, owned by the two largest communication companies, broadcasters, mobile phone providers. So they're integrated, digital communications companies. They also each have a third ownership in the Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment. So they have had a strong interest. There's partnerships, coming to Toronto Maple Leafs and the Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, the Raptors, and TFC. They haven't announced any particular partnerships yet. Everybody's kind of waiting to see where they're going to land. But TSN is a larger national broadcaster, partnered with FanDuel this week. And the Canadian Football League has been they have a sports book provider partnership with a company called Bet Regal, which is Canadian owned, been operating through the Americas. And they also did a joint venture with Genius Sports on a fan engagement package. So they've been out very active. We have emerging Canadian Premier League here, which is 3 or 4 years old. COVID kind of got in the way for some of their growth. And the Canadian Elite Basketball League, which is a emerging professional league, and all have been looking at sports betting partnerships. So they're thrilled. The NHL teams are anxious to see how the Canadian Football League in particular has been a huge supporter of seeing this, as they've had some. They lost a season to COVID, put them in some financial difficulty, but they're emerging and they're really looking forward to the season, which starts for them in about 8 weeks. What sports betting can do for them, so they're really looking forward to this season.
Now, there's legislation in many states in the U.S. to allow sports books in stadiums and arenas. I know Washington, D.C. already has that, and Pennsylvania just opened up a sports book in a restaurant. Do you see sports betting expanding like that in Canada, or is it even in the works right now?
In Ontario, it's not. They've limited it to Ontario's home to 28 casino properties. It will be launching in the casinos only, in the retail setting. Province of Alberta recently wanted to pick 2 sportsbook operators, but they were offering up partnerships with the CFL and NHL teams in the province, so the Flames and Oilers, Elks and Stampeders, to do in-stadium opportunities. I suspect Ontario is taking a very cautious approach in their look at this in terms of, because it can't advertise bonuses and incentives in Ontario in mass market media. You can offer them, you just can't do it in your advertising. So they've taken a very measured approach, and I think, over time they may review that, especially for stadiums. Retail licensed establishments, bars, and restaurants, they have particularly said to them, no, we don't want you to rebrand yourself that way. We don't want you to offer kiosks and devices. So they've this right now. It's the retail product will be in casinos only.
Now, Bet Rivers and Sugar House announced that they are one of the first brands to receive the RG Check accreditation. What is that, and why is that important for the Canadian gaming industry?
One of the things we've done in Canada, partly because of the government involvement in gaming, responsible gaming has been really at the forefront of the discussion in the gaming industry in Canada for 15 years more. We have some great programs that were developed here in Canada that have been exported around the world. I mean, the GameSense program used by MGM and their North American properties was developed in British Columbia. It's used in 5 provinces, and the RG Tech model was used as ensuring that you've got the right policies and procedures and tools for players to have access to responsible gaming features, education, design, how your marketing works. And so it's like a third-party accreditation process that the province of Ontario has asked their operators to go through within the first 3 years to ensure that they have all the necessary responsible gaming programs, policies, and features within their organizations. And that was a key part for Ontario. There's, in the regulations, in their agreements with operators, they have to, for example, put a certain percentage of advertising dollars have to go to responsible gaming programming and advertising, and they have to. There's very specific rules around advertising, around self-exclusion. In the next 12 months, Ontario will introduce a universal self-exclusion, which means if you self-exclude at a casino, you'll be self-excluded from all of the licensed online operators as well, or vice versa.
Okay.
So they've taken it seriously. The operators have embraced it. I think that they've recognized that leading with we want a long-term sustainable relationship with our customers, and the big piece of that at the front end was the prohibition on advertising incentives and bonuses. You can offer them, but you can offer them to customers once they sign up. So that's going to be a bumpy one for a while, because the affiliates are kind of like, what do you mean? We want to do this. And because the affiliates aren't registered or licensed in Ontario, the operators have to ensure all of their suppliers and partners adhere to the rules. The compliance programs flow out of the operators. So there's going to be a few, that's going to be a bit of a learning curve, I think, in that one around those, from changing past behavior of what everybody's been used to in North America. But most of the operators are saying that's great. We can compete on product and customer service, and we're going to do that. And so, it's really designed to. They've said, listen, we want this to work. We want it to work in the long term. The industry, our membership, have said, no, we're with you in trying to do that. I mean, we've seen what happened, in the United Kingdom. Advertising went unrestricted, and now they hauled it all back.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything. And everybody's recognized, even broadcasters are recognizing that we can't run wall-to-wall ads. Because as much as they'd like to, earn the revenue and do all of that, and what they would, they recognize too that, well, yeah, it may be nice in the short term, but it may not be sustainable in the long term. And so we're having that conversation because we want to make sure that we build a sustainable market, and that allows people to compete and still advertise and do things. And so there's lots of awareness around these issues, and I think people have embraced them as operators. They've said, "Hey, this is great. We don't have to. It's not a race to the biggest offer. It's not." So it's going to be about product. It's going to be about engaging your customer, and for Canadians, even though we've had this access to the gray market and people basically had unrestricted access to sports betting online, there's a lot of people who didn't participate, and there's a lot of casual bettors and sports fans that are out there now. And I think that's one of the things who can capture that, who can make it attractive for the casual bettor. Because, hey, listen, sometimes a screen full of odds can be rather daunting.
Yeah.
So
well,
how do you break that down for people?
Yeah, you mentioned advertising. I want to ask about that. I'm sitting here in New Jersey, and I have New York to the north of me and Pennsylvania to the west of me, and I get all their television programs. I get everything from New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, and I'm seeing about 10 TV ads of online gaming an hour. I mean, is it like that in Canada? Certainly you have the restrictions on the promos and what you can offer, but is it wall-to-wall advertising now without offering the promos?
Well, you have to know Ontario shares a border with Michigan and New York.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So since last spring, summer, when Michigan went live, so a whole chunk of the province has been inundated with because we get a lot of U.S. television, a lot of sports from U.S. networks and stuff available here. So one chunk of the province has been seeing those ads for months and months and months. And New York started a couple months back, and we started seeing. I live in Toronto. I get Buffalo and Western New York TV, and we saw the ads start rolling in. And so we've seen it, and then we've also had in Canada the .net Play for Free advertising was legal, allowed, and so we've had a lot of advertising already, even for sites that were, as I say, that offered play for free contests or play for free casino games, and it was so we've had that, and now it's been being replaced by the legal regulated offerings, and so it's we knew it was going to be more, and we're really just everybody from broadcasters to advertisers and interactive advertising, Bureau of Canada, everybody's worked together to try and make sure that it's sustainable, everybody understands the rules, and so we've major shift is 2 weeks ago was Google was changed their policies to permit Ontario licensed operators to use gaming ads on Google. So that was a big move that had been prohibited. But they set down a series of rules of what they'll will and won't accept, and so it's very, I think, a really positive conversation in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Now, as I said in the introduction, Canada has online casinos as well. Who are the operators for the online casino platforms in Canada?
Well, it's, as I said, everybody can offer both, right?
Okay.
So this is the best part is that you come in with Scorebet has an Evolution, a live dealer platform. They have casino games, so it's you're going to see everything everywhere. As a pure play casino site, we've seen Party Casino come in and 888 come in with unique, like strictly casino sites, and then separate sports sites. Leo Vegas done the same. Mm-hmm. So we're going to, I think the leading tranche of operators are going and leading with sports and having gaming. Coming in as a sort of a pure play casino site, I don't think we're going to see too many of those right now, because it really has been a rush for the sports books.
Yeah, I was curious.
But we will.
I was curious about that because something I see here in New Jersey is when I go to an online sports book is that they have an online casino link with them. I mean, some of the sports books even have a shared wallet with the online casino. Is that? Do you think that's going to be something that Canada will see in the future, or is this something that maybe as time goes on, as the process builds, you might see more of that in Canada?
What's going on right now is in one of the areas where the province of Ontario needs to work with the existing casino operators in the province is on that single wallet. That's the group that's going to be, that they've been wanting it and it hasn't come yet, even with launching. The casino sites are launching soon. But the casinos want to be able to have that single wallet, create that omni-channel experience for their customer that they can linking their rewards programs, doing all of those things. That will come for sure, and it's just we kind of wished it'd come sooner, but it's they're working on it, and I suspect in the coming weeks and months we'll see casinos will be able to start to transition to that single wallet opportunity for them. I think after that, that's probably as far as the single wallet concept is going to go in the short term. But I think it's very healthy for the casino operators, who are really using this to, they want people to visit their buildings too. Yeah. And that's, and the same with, retail sports books, in that regard. And we'll see them probably partner with, the big name sports books in particular, for a few of the companies here that are local, but, Mohegan operates Fallsview Casino and they've got partners already, and Caesars is in Windsor and, launched their Caesars sportsbook, and we'll be launching the online casino portion of that. So Hard Rock International operates up in Ottawa, and they'll bring their interactive side to this when it comes. So there's lots of good things coming, and lots of more brands and choices.
Now, one thing that has excited people about Canadian gambling is now people can play online poker. Who are the online poker operators, or who do you think will be the online poker operators in the country?
Well, Canada's been a very healthy poker market for a very long time. And PokerStars, has been the dominant brand in Canada. So as a gray market offering, I'm speculating, but I'm guessing that I think Canada was probably definitely in the top 10 countries, maybe in the top 5 for PokerStars in terms of players and revenue. But we have Party has been another. Party Poker was a big offer, and PokerStars, and those have been the two most dominant brands in Canada for a long time, because they came in early, like a decade ago. So we suspect they will continue, and I don't know if others are going to really challenge that at this point in time. I haven't heard a lot of chatter about poker beyond those two.
I was wondering how your online poker industry is set up in Canada. In the U.S., only a handful of states allow online poker, and a couple of those states joined a compact. So, people in Nevada, New Jersey, and Delaware, and probably soon Michigan, can play each other because of the interstate compact. Do you foresee something like that in Canada, where the different provinces will be joining some kind of agreement where they can share online poker players?
Well, the provincial lottery corporations, which have traditionally been the operators of online gaming in their jurisdictions, as the legal regulated option in the gray market, they tried to do a linked Canadian poker site, and it didn't work because they were competing against PokerStars and Party and companies like that who had international liquidity. So there was always this open liquidity market. This is going to be the challenge that when I mentioned about DFS, the liquidity question in Ontario is we're hoping to see resolved in the coming weeks. And because as it will come out that as the companies are transitioning, PokerStars and Company and Party have all applied for licenses. The question about having to be able to maintain liquidity in the market is a challenge for them. And that's why this liquidity question, which it seems to be only a few government lawyers are getting in the way of, to be frank, and interpretations are keeping us from having all that happen right away. So that's why it's an outstanding question still for the companies in the long term. But they want to enter. They've indicated they are. They've applied for their licenses and they've done their work. But the liquidity question is going to be a big barrier for them, and so they want it solved ASAP. As do even the regulator, would be happy to have the international liquidity. It's just a few government lawyers standing in our way at this point.
Now, you've mentioned the gray market a couple of times. I'm curious, what has the Canadian gaming industry's response been with regard to offshore and unlicensed platforms? I know in the U.S. they're stressing that if you play on licensed sites, they're more secure, they're more reliable with deposits and withdrawals. I mean, what is the message that the Canadian gaming industry is trying to relay to potential customers out there?
So the question in Canadian law was, and why it's gray and not black and white, because the U.S. took a few other steps around UEGA and others to make it a little more definitive. The Wire Act, some other things, the laws are a little more succinct and clear. In Canada, the question about where the criminal code, because it was written 40 years ago, never really been changed, when it talked about conducting managed gaming within their jurisdictions. So the question, and the legal question that's unresolved, is where does the bet occur? Is it in my home in Toronto, or is it the server in the UK or Malta or Isle of Man? And nobody wanted to answer that question. No one wanted clarity, because the provinces, in my opinion, were afraid to get the answer they wouldn't like.
Yeah.
And that, the bet does occur offshore, and they can do whatever they want because, under foreign actor clause in Canadian law, we can't charge people for crimes beyond the borders of Canada. And the fact that they're not even here, but the internet's an amazing thing, and it brings everything, brings the world to your computer screen. No one wanted to answer the question, and there's always been a solution. It's a solution Ontario just deployed this week. And as an industry, we were saying we need to regulate online gaming because we prefer all gaming to be regulated, that there's a level playing field, that there's equal levels of being able to offer product as well as following the same kind of rules. And that hasn't occurred. And it wasn't going away. It's not going away. And so we were grateful to get Ontario to say, maybe we should do something. And they did. And that's great. Now that's 1 down, 9 to go. I guess is the best way to describe it.
Well, let me ask you about that.
And they can all regulate it differently, but they all have to. But choosing to create a regulated market will solve the gray market problem.
Well, Ontario was the big story in Canadian gaming this week. What can we expect from the other provinces in the coming weeks?
I think it's going to be a case of watch and see. They want to see how Ontario performs. How are they really going to solve the gray market, and is the illegal market going to thrive and grow? Early signs are, I think they've probably got 80% of the gray market operators entering the market. So I think that they're on a good track, but I think the provinces are going to wait and see, and I think that's what they want to do. Okay. And we're as an association, all we want to do is make sure that the provinces start a dialogue. Yeah. Because Ontario's model may not be the model for British Columbia or Quebec, but you got to regulate online gaming. You have to do something, and the industry will help you, whether it's a tethered model or it's a model like New York, or pick it, have a conversation, but we need to do something. And that's all we're asking to do. We're not advocating for one over the other at this point. We're just saying, let's see the results. You can point to U.S. jurisdictions and states that have done it well. Some haven't done it so well. We're going to see what Ontario does. And that's all we want to, because we said the only way you can solve this, the tool that's at your disposal to deal with this in the most effective way, is to create a regulated regime.
Now, I know it's very early in the process, but have you seen any numbers in terms of players, handle, revenue from the sites that went live April 4th? I mean, is everyone happy in terms of the traffic to the site so far?
everybody's outward positions is they're thrilled and they're happy and they're moving forward. The interesting part of this is that because of the government involvement in gaming in Canada and ownership in many ways, we don't have a culture of disclosing monthly performance.
Okay.
So we're all waiting to see actually what they're going to start releasing. So it's going to be an exciting time because they will be releasing data, but they haven't. They're just trying to, I think, determine what that will be and how frequently. So we all hang on, waited to see what comes. But that's this is new territory for this kind of regulated market. So we're hopeful. We're looking forward to seeing some numbers in the coming days or weeks. We don't know when, but they said they will be. So it'll be fun to see, and we'll be able to measure Ontario's success as we go forward.
Well, when they come out, you're going to have to come back on and fill us in because I'm very curious to see what's going to happen in Canada. But we're running out of time. But do you have a website or a social media address so people can keep up to date about what's going on with the Canadian Gaming Association and the whole gambling industry in Canada?
Yeah, we're at CanadianGaming.ca and at Canadian Gaming, CDN is the short form for Canadian, at CDN Gaming for Twitter. And, we're, and you can always find me, Paul Burns, on LinkedIn. So there's always lots of, happy to talk to folks, and we look forward to a successful Ontario market. I mean, we're out to, there's a good story to tell up here from our growing gaming industry, and so we're actively doing that. And I think that the big winner, though, I think with the launch on April 4th of the Ontario market was the consumer. They're going to have a lot more choice, and it's going to be great for them.
Paul Burns, President and CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association, thanks so much for coming on and telling us about what's going on in the gambling industry in Canada. It's an absolutely incredible market doing amazing things in every aspect of the gambling industry. Like I said, please come back on and keep us updated about Canada's growth and an incredible gaming scene.
We're happy to do that. So we'll, when we have some numbers to talk about, I'll come back because we're anxiously waiting to see when the government decides to release them. So
we'd love to hear about it. Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
With Drizzly, I can shop a huge selection of beer, wine, and liquor. I just open the app, find what I want, and it's at my door in under 60 minutes.
Drizzly also lets me shop from multiple stores in my area and compare prices on thousands of products.
Ding dong, Drizzly.
We'll get back to the show in a few moments, but I just wanted to take some time and tell everyone about Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country. They feature over 2,000 specialty coffee blends, all at your fingertips at BeanGenius.com. Here's how it works. Head on over to BeanGenius.com and take their palate profiler test to find out what coffee best fits your taste. Then select from a variety of subscription plans. Every subscription comes with free shipping, and delivery can even be scheduled for once or twice each month. And based upon your review of each coffee blend you try, Bean Genius actually learns your individual taste preferences and then suggests future coffee blends for you. And now you can get 10% off your Bean Genius subscription when you use our promo code PIKE at checkout. Bean Genius offers a variety of subscription plans to suit any coffee lover's needs. Subscribe with Bean Genius today and start enjoying some of the best tasting coffee around. And save 10% off your coffee plan with promo code PIKE.
It's a casino. People gotta win sometime.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a giant, colorful check to deposit.
Beat the House is brought to you by BetMGM Casino. Play your favorite casino games at BetMGM Online Casino. Slots, table games, live dealer games, everything you love about Atlantic City and Vegas, all online at BetMGM. Don't wait. Join in the fun now. Go to BetMGM Casino, create an account using our promo code Turnpike, and become a verified player. New players get $25 free when signing up, plus a first deposit bonus up to $1,000. That's promo code Turnpike at BetMGM.com for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus $25 free. Grab a lion's share of the fun at BetMGM.com. Must be 21 years or older to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to this week's edition of Beating the House, where we're going to go through some of the casino and lottery jackpots that have come across in the news. Press releases have been sent to us, info@turnpikesportsradio.com, poker wins, bad beats, basically any kind of jackpot regarding the gaming industry we're going to be talking about. And actually, sometimes we're going to learn about some of these games, too. We're going to start off with...
That's my biggest takeaway of this thing. I look for the different slots I haven't heard of. And then when I go to a casino, I point them out. So.
Well, it's one of those things where I'm actually curious in terms of how the slots... There's a whole different family of slots for the online industry versus the brick and mortar, too, at times, too. And it's actually kind of fun to see this. Sometimes I kind of want to just call this the Pie Gal segment,
right.
Because we do, again, have a Pie Gal jackpot to talk about.
Have we had a Pie Gal win every week? It just seems like that.
Just about. I mean,
was this one on a side bet, too? It seems like all the big ones on a side bet.
Well, when we get to it, you can tell me, because there was not too much information released on it. It was just a little blurb from the casino.
Well, I'm not the Pie Gal specialist. If I was the Pie Gal specialist, I wouldn't be doing the show. I'd be living off the winnings of my Pie Gal.
You'd be one of the guys we're talking about.
Yeah, right. Dave's getting up and walking away because he's the guy who won the jackpot in the next story.
Well, we're not at that point yet.
Okay.
Hopefully someday soon. But we're going to start off on the East Coast with Mohegan Sun.
Oh, okay. My favorite Connecticut casino.
This is 2 weeks in a row with Mohegan Sun.
Really? What happened last week?
Slot.
Refresh my slot. Okay.
Slot win.
Well, this is a slot win too, right?
This is a slot win.
Okay.
A near record slot win.
Oh, wow.
Someone won.
That's a big slot win when it's a near record for Mohegan Sun. They had some big slot wins, haven't they?
It's a record that stood for almost nearly 20 years.
So it must be a huge slot win.
It's one of the biggest I've seen, especially on the East Coast.
Okay.
$3.8 million.
Wow. Okay.
On IGT's Wheel of Fortune machine just after midnight on April 4th.
Wow.
No word on how long he was playing. This person.
Do we know this is a guy?
No, I don't know. I should stop saying that. But the winner has chosen to remain private, and the person won the $3.8 million, and the previous record lasted for nearly 20 years, and back in 2023. And again, this person also remained anonymous. I don't know if it's a man or a woman either.
I would absolutely not give my name out. If I won, what was it, $3.8 million, there would be no way. No, I'm not taking a picture with the giant check. Just please, I'll go in the back room and we'll do all the paperwork, but please don't take a picture of me or release my name.
Let me tell you something. With these amounts right here, the only people that are going to know my name are the casino, the IRS.
My lawyer, my stock broker, my financial planner, and whatever else that deals with my money. But no, it would not be on Facebook or Twitter.
But it is kind of coincidental. Previous high mark, $4.49 million.
Wow.
Also done on a Wheel of Fortune slot machine.
Well, see, they're the really big ones. It's Wheel of Fortune, it's Monopoly, and online it's Divine Fortune. I don't think Divine Fortune's in the brick and mortar one, but like Monopoly and Wheel of Fortune are mainstays.
Well, Monopoly and Wheel of Fortune are on both.
Yeah.
Online
No, I mean
they're
they're
brick and mortar.
Usually when you win big, it's Wheel of Fortune or Monopoly.
Yeah, especially in the casinos.
Yeah.
Or the what's the new one that's out there now? Dancing Drums Explosion. We saw a lot of those for a while.
I won more. I'm probably doing the name of it, but I think I won more online with Dancing Drums than
Explosion.
I did Dancing Drums Explosion. I won a couple $100 online, but I don't think I won too much in brick and mortar.
Well, we're going to go from Connecticut. We're going to make our way over to Colorado.
Okay.
The Monarch Casino. And not too much on this one. I caught this off of Twitter. One of the few that I had to catch off Twitter. One of the bigger jackpots of the year at Monarch was hit. A patron hit a $200,000 jackpot playing the double gold slot machine. Now that I had to take a look at this because I was familiar with it.
It sounds familiar.
That's what I'm saying. It's in every casino out there just about. Yeah. It's one of those classic 3 reels. If you ever look it up, you'll see the machine has the old style reels, and it's got an arm.
Oh, well, okay.
It's one of the one-armed bandits.
Well, I think a lot of them have arms. I just don't use
Most
them.
of them do.
Yeah,
a lot of them don't.
I just don't use
They've
them.
made the transition to the buttons, and the arm is there just if you want to.
Hey, by the way, did we talk to someone from Monarch Casino? I remember that name.
Yeah, the president of that,
David Fahari. Yeah, David Fahari. Yeah, from Colorado. Right,
a bunch of good places under the
Monarch
brand,
great,
so,
great stuff.
But now we're gonna hit these in quick succession here.
All right,
because we got a couple lottery stories to get to that are very interesting, including one where a guy won 42 times. How's that for a tease?
42 times.
42 times.
All right.
Going to.
I can't win once. This guy's winning 42 times.
Oh, wait till you hear that story.
All right.
Golden Nugget Las Vegas, we had an Ultimate Texas Hold'em Mega Progressive hit for $347,601.
All right.
Sunset Station, and here's your Pai Gow. Douglas, a Vegas local, not me, hit a 7-card straight flush Pai Gow Progressive with a joker at Sunset Station for $183,548.
Wow. Okay.
Now, I don't know if the joker is a side bet.
I think the joker is a side bet.
Is that the side bet?
I think
it
is.
I don't know.
If I'm wrong, people can email me, but I think the joker thing is a side card.
Well, when you're dealing with the 7-card straight flush, doesn't the joker get dealt too? I mean, it's not. I don't know Pai Gow enough to know whether or not that's the side bet or if that's an actual regular card deal.
No, but I think that's a side bet thing going on.
All right, and we're going to end the Las Vegas swing here with the Venetian. Man visiting Las Vegas from Scotland.
Oh, okay. Heading
home after winning at Ultimate Texas Hold'em at the Palazzo Casino. He was dealt a Diamond Royal Flush and turned a $5 bet into $280,000.
Wow, that's good for him.
So
that's
again,
great.
Ultimate Texas Hold'em, that's not poker, that's the table game.
Yeah.
So again, no word on whether it was a side bet, whether it was, but it was a progressive, from what I understand, reading some of the news reports out there.
All right,
let's go to a sports book. This is very interesting because not only when I saw this one reported, other people are reporting that something similar happened in another casino. BetMGM Better, this is an online bet, took a $50 flyer on a 14-leg Major League Baseball parlay. He did all the unders.
Did all the for the entire games,
for everything,
all the unders, huh?
It was a 15. This was actually the first day I started doing my little experiment.
Okay,
there was 15 games.
Mm-hmm.
The 15th game went over, but he didn't bet it.
Wow.
So kind of interesting circumstance with
that. Wait. There's a 15 game.
He did a 14-leg parlay.
All right.
On a 15-game slate. He didn't bet the 15th game, and that was the only one that went over that day.
Wow. That's an interesting thing.
That's very interesting. It's
that would make me scratch my head.
Yes, exactly.
Why? What made him? Maybe there was something. The pitching wasn't announced, or the numbers weren't up
Don't
yet,
ask
or
me,
the
but
spreads weren't there.
It was the Cubs Brewers game. That didn't go
Brewers game.
That didn't go under. That went over.
Okay.
That was the only over. He bet all the other games were
Good
14
for him.
unders.
Good for him.
Great call on his part for
really
$265,000. And again, when I was looking at this, other people were bringing up the fact that somebody else did something similar on that same day. I think it was down south in one of the Mississippi casinos.
Mm-hmm.
They did an 11-leg, all unders, and hit it. Same day.
So this BetMGM, where was this at?
It was online.
It was online to give a state?
No, I didn't give a state.
All right.
I would assume something this crazy would be Jersey.
Yeah, right.
I just by sheer
it just
fact
sounds like a Jersey thing.
But again, a 14-game parlay. The 15th went over. The other 14 he did bet on went under. That's incredible luck right there.
Yeah, no,
if he'd done all 15, he loses.
That's good instincts there.
That's great instincts. We're going to move over to the California Lottery, where a mistake led a woman to win $10 million.
How did a mistake lead a woman to win $10 million?
Have you ever taken a lottery ticket out of one of those vending machines?
Yeah.
She was using a vending machine. She actually had, let me get this right, she had a $40 budget. She was going to put $40 in the machine and get $40 worth of tickets.
Okay.
She put the money in. She was about to make her selection when she got bumped into by somebody.
All right.
Her hand hit a $30 ticket
Okay.
And so instead of returning it, she played it.
All right.
And what happened was that even though that was 75% of her budget of playing, she won the top prize of $10 million on a mistake.
You know, I really don't believe in angels coming down from heaven to tap us on the shoulder and give us some guidance. But in this case, that could have been an angel coming down from heaven guiding her hand or something like that. I've never heard of anything like that.
Let me tell you, that is the best kind of mistake.
Oh, my God. That was meant to be.
Yes.
Okay? That was meant to be.
And we're going to go back to
So there's no other story? I mean, the guy apologized, or the person who bumped into her
there's nothing about an apology,
just
no
walked
nothing.
away. So,
I think the $10 million kind of soothed her anger at that
wow.
one. So,
wow, good for her.
But she got her, and also it was let me get this right, the 200 times scratchers ticket by the California Lottery.
Okay, well, good. I wish someone would run into me or something like that. I'll bump into the poker table or something like that.
And we're going to finish up with 2 Virginia lottery stories.
All right.
Rhett Barker. What a name, Rhett.
That's a good name.
Don't see too many Rhetts around too many anymore. He was sitting at home, and he decided to play the Monopoly Progressive Jackpots at the Virginia Lottery online.
All right.
He didn't play too long. They didn't say how long, but they said it. Release said he didn't play too long, and he ended up hitting for $280,000.
Great. Good
sitting at home while he was temporarily living in Virginia. He's a U.S. Navyman.
Oh, great.
He was stationed there, and he's originally from Arkansas. He lives in Suffolk, where he was sitting playing on his couch.
Good for
him.
him.
He won $280,000.
Oh, good for him.
Now, this is the interesting story, and I teased it with the 42 times. Larry Spate matched all 4 winning numbers in a pick 4 drawing, and now that would normally be a $5,000 top prize.
Okay.
What he did, and I can't believe somebody did this to begin with, number one. Number two, that it worked is just amazing. He played the same 4 numbers 42 times for the same draw.
So each of those 42 times won $5,000?
Yes. For a total of $210,000.
I wonder why he settled on 42, you know?
I don't know
Usually
why he
a good
on
round
42.
number is like 50 or something like that, but wow, that's incredible.
I don't know how much the ticket was. That may have had some impact on how much he did or on how many times he did it. But according to Mr. Spate, he had seen the 4-digit combination 8660 on license plates a few times that day.
Really?
So he decided to play those numbers that night for that drawing. Did it 42 times, and he won all 42.
I'm trying to figure out what's the weirdest story about someone getting bumped into and getting the wrong lottery ticket, or a guy seeing 8660 all day on license plates and deciding to play it.
Well, that I've seen before.
Whoa,
but not 42 times in one draw.
Wow, unbelievable.
So, amazing choice to do that. Like I said, I'm just amazed it worked that 42 times, $210,000.
It's interesting that he noticed 8660 all day, right? You said he noticed that number recurring.
He said he saw it on license plates. He didn't say anywhere else. He just said license plates.
I got to be honest, I can't remember the last time I looked at someone's license plate.
Not that long. I mean, I just see him go by, and that's it.
Yeah, no.
So, but congratulations to all our winners this week.
Congratulations. Boy.
Casinos, lotteries, poker rooms, keep your press releases coming in. info@turnpikesportsradio.com. We actually love talking about the jackpots, but we also really enjoy learning about some of these different games that are out there.
The book report is next, so stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sports book. Available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E. Make your first wager of $20 or more and you'll get $100 in free bets. That's $100 in free bets when your first wager on Borgata Sports is $20 or more. Get into the action with BorgataSports.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Turnpike Sports Book Report. We're going to be talking this week about the state and national sports betting reports that have come out in the past week. We've got sports betting deals to talk about, a lot to deal with Canada.
Yeah, Canada. April 4th was a
Yes.
big day in Canada.
It was a big day for deal making as well.
Yes.
So a lot of deals have come out since it launched. We've even got some domestic deals in the United States to talk about. We've got an update on the DC sports betting situation back from the Super Bowl when the DC lottery app went down for betting.
All right.
We've got a new horse racing betting authority to talk about, as well as Tennessee releasing their NFL draft betting guidelines.
Nice. Okay.
And at the end of the day, we're going to be looking at a couple legislative updates, two coming out of New England to keep you updated. And no, it's not Massachusetts.
Okay.
So let's end that drama right there.
It's never going to be Massachusetts.
No, not right now anyway. Starting off with some numbers this week. We got a lot of benchmarks to hit. And usually I start off with New York. We do have New York numbers to talk about.
Sure.
I'm going to start off with Arizona. Arizona, last week we talked about them releasing their numbers. They released their January numbers, and Arizona became the 8th U.S. state to accept more than $500 million in handle in a month.
Okay.
The only state that went quicker to get the $500 million mark was New York State.
Okay.
Everybody else is taking a little longer than Arizona. Arizona is only 4 months old, given by the January numbers. Arizona bettors.
Let me tell you something. It's a great market, but they
Yeah.
got to pick up the pace and reporting their numbers. I mean, we're always waiting for Arizona. I mean,
Again, I
look how
understand
impatient
it.
I am.
I know it's in this age of instant gratification.
Well, New
with
York.
data,
You mentioned New York. They do it every week, don't they?
they do it every week,
Yeah.
just about every
All
week.
right.
Sometimes they do it on a Friday, sometimes they do it on a Monday, and I'm sure in the next book report we're going to be able to talk about New York's numbers for this past week.
What I will say about Arizona, they're slow, but they're worth the wait.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
So I'm trying to
Well, you gotta
curtail
remember-
any emails I'm going to get from people from Arizona.
I'm assuming Arizona's reporting speed will pick up as the market matures. It's still a brand new market.
Mm-hmm.
So give them some time. They're
Hey,
still doing it. I mean,
well, let me tell you something. They might be doing that for a reason. We're talking about how late Arizona
Yes.
reports their numbers. So, it's free publicity. Hey, good for them. Maybe it's a marketing thing.
Well, Indiana also reported their March numbers.
Okay.
We're 2 months ahead of Arizona of talking about March numbers now.
All right.
Indiana, they had a handle of $476 million. With that report in March, they passed the $1 billion mark in handle for the current year, 2022.
Wow, pretty good.
So congratulations. They are on a record-setting pace already.
That's a very good market. I mean, I think we talked about them last week, and I was surprised how far up they are in the list of states and the list of top sports betting markets. I mean, they're up there. I mean, they're top 10, aren't they?
Yeah. But you also got to remember they were one of the first ones to launch too.
Sure.
It was like New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I think Indiana was like the fourth or fifth market to launch.
You never hear about that.
No, but they have been one of the more mature markets, if you want to consider since 2018 mature.
Sure.
So they have been doing well. Like I said, $1 billion mark in handle for 2022. They are also the fifth state to surpass the $7 billion handle mark all time.
All right.
You want to take a guess on the other four? Since they're number 5.
So what's the actual category I'm guessing now? What is
$7 billion handle all time.
This post-PASPA
Yes.
kind of thing?
Yes.
Well, I guess Nevada would have to be thrown in there.
Well, again,
Nevada, New Jersey, Pennsylvania.
Depends on who you talk to. Nevada.
Michigan?
No,
not Michigan.
No. 4 states.
Nevada, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, good.
The other latecomer, when they by the way, they've been reporting their numbers quicker now. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Every month they've been coming a little quicker. So kind of nice to see that market speeding up a little bit. Let's talk New York. Again, we've got New York.
Oh, we just say they're awesome every week and then just move on. I mean, we're just wasting time saying how awesome New York is.
New York has already passed $5 billion
Okay.
in handle. $5.2 billion handle. That was at the week ending April 8th.
Okay.
So we're talking now here. We're starting the third week when this is released in April.
So they might. What are they? $5 billion now.
$5.2 billion
They might
since the launch. At
by
the end
May
of
1st. They
January.
might have $7 billion.
They may have $7 billion. They may do it.
Let me tell you
sooner. I
something.
don't
With
know.
all the betting on the Mets and the Yankees that are going on right now in New York and New Jersey and whatever, but I think they might hit $2 billion. So.
Well, they're moving right along. Besides the $5.2 billion in handle, they also have produced $320 million in revenue, which has been, I don't want to say shattering, but they have earned more in 2-3 months in revenue than some states did all last year.
Sure, absolutely.
I know Pennsylvania didn't hit this kind of revenue last year.
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey, I think New Jersey may have.
The next big state you're going to see that has the impact like New York is California, and I don't think they're
nowhere near.
Nowhere near. I think they're going to have something on the ballot in November, but New York is it right now.
Well, you got to remember the ballot initiatives in California are all going to be sued on.
Yeah,
there's one right now that's being sued on. I think that's the one that's supposed to be on the ballot. So we're looking at down the road here for California. Sure. But as far as New York goes, they've also generated $151.7 million in tax revenue already.
That's why you do it. That's why you allow sports betting.
Here we go. Here's Pennsylvania. That $151.7 million in tax revenue is nearly $30 million more than Pennsylvania's tax revenue from last year.
Okay.
So, again, you're looking at, that was the record. Pennsylvania had the record. New York just blew right by it in 3 months.
Yeah, like its population density. So.
And also that high tax rate, too. That has a lot to do with it.
Well, that's true, too. Yeah.
You got to remember, 51% does allow
crazy,
these numbers to go a little higher.
Kind of skews the numbers a bit.
Oh, one last number I want to throw out at you because I thought this was funny. Going back to Arizona. I forgot to. It's in my notes here, and I just wanted to hit it. Okay. It's just a good little trivia piece. We just talked about Arizona. They had a record handle in January, and I think every month they've had record handles been going up and up and up. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see what February is like because that's the lull month for everybody. Arizona bettors $18.2 million in bets each day in January.
Wow, pretty good.
That's actually an incredible number.
That
for
is
that market.
Very good. Yeah.
So those are the numbers for this past week. We're going to have more next time. One other number to throw out at you just to end the segment with Ontario, since this is the first week we haven't talked Ontario.
Yeah.
We're going to talk in deals, but not for the numbers. And I think a couple of our interviews have relayed this thought too. They're talking $800 million in gross revenue in the first year for Ontario.
I believe it.
They're projecting that. That's going to be a very, very lucrative market.
That's a big territory. So a lot of online players there.
Okay, let's talk some deals.
All right.
We actually have the first of its kind deal for a peer-to-peer sports betting site. We have Wager.
Okay.
Down in, I want to get the state right because they did a sports betting partnership with Nashville SC.
Soccer club?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a Major League Soccer team.
Can I just say I've never heard the SC denomination.
That's an American.
It's always FC.
That's an American derivation of football club.
One of the soccer teams in New York is New York FC.
Right. Well, this is also an MLS team. Major League Soccer team.
Well, I think the New York one is.
That's
too,
what I'm saying.
So.
They both mean the same thing. I think in some teams.
I just had to throw that
SC.
out. I've never saw the SC thing.
And you also got to remember there may be an FC team down there that's just not in the MLS, and that they can't use that FC.
Right. Okay.
So, but the peer-to-peer sports betting site Wager had their first deal with an MLS team. It's also the first deal between a Major League Soccer team and a peer-to-peer wagering site.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
have you tried any of those yet, or I haven't tried that yet.
I want to say yes, but no, because quite honestly, I don't think Wager has launched their peer-to-peer side yet.
Okay, they just made the deal. So,
they also have the straight sports betting launched in Tennessee. They're live in Tennessee.
I don't know how that. I guess you just go and you start communicating with people, or how does that work?
Take Facebook and mix in betting. Because you go online, it's a community, and you start talking to other people. Hey, you want to play? You want to bet against me on this game? We'll set this, and then you go ahead. There's no house.
Okay,
but they do have a straight sports betting side, which is what got.
Do they make money?
In
Is there
Tennessee.
a vig kind of thing that they make money on each bet?
On the normal sports betting side, I'm not sure about the peer-to-peer. I'm assuming they have to take something for setting the market.
I mean, they have to.
Yeah, it's just the only way
they have to make a living.
Money. But they're going to be. They got activation rights at Geodis Park, which is the new soccer stadium for this football club.
Okay.
Built specifically for these guys.
Okay.
They're also going to have, for all 17 home matches, Wager will put 2 activation tents at the stadium to engage with fans and join the city's expanding soccer community.
Cool. Can't wait for it. I'd love to try it, though.
I'm actually curious to see how some of these deals. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to let people try it at the game.
Yeah, no,
without any money.
I would love to try it.
Going over to another deal, we have U.S. Integrity. U.S. Integrity has been making deals with everybody regarding sports betting monitoring as well as integrity, and they just did a deal, or they just announced a deal with PointsBet Canada.
Okay.
This actually happened back in January, this deal. But
I love seeing all these deals coming out of Canada. I mean, April 4th
happened,
and boom, we've
got a lot to talk about here. So we've got U.S. Integrity with PointsBet Canada.
Okay.
It's actually U.S. Integrity's first international deal.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that's the reason I'm bringing it up. It's the first time it's outside U.S. regulated market. Every other deal USI has done has been with the casino industry in the markets that have been in the United States. But again, PointsBet Canada. We have National Hockey League expanding their deals, and I want to make sure I get the two parties right here, because they did expanding the deals with BetMGM and FanDuel. They expanded their deals in Canada, so BetMGM can now offer more extensive promos and boosts for the NHL in Canada. Kind of curious to see what FanDuel does. They didn't announce what they were going to be doing, but I'm assuming since FanDuel has already done a deal with TSN, we might see some expanded NHL offerings on TSN.
You know what I'm waiting for? The deals with the professional teams and, the smaller, purely Canadian ones. We had Paul Burns on, the CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association. We had Greg Warren on, who's a outstanding reporter in Canada for Better Collective. And, they're reporting on all the deals and things like that. But I'm waiting for it. They all mentioned who is it? Cool Bets or Cool Bet or what, things like that. I mean, they're not household names in the U.S., but I'm curious to see if professional teams will start making deals with them.
I'm very curious to see if any of
I'm rooting for the underdog here.
So. We talk about like here in the United States, we have Action 24/7, Tennessee Action 24/7 for Tennessee by Tennesseans, however you want to say that. I'm wondering if any of the distinctly local Canadian outfits would actually try and get a U.S. license at some point.
Yeah. Well,
we
my
see
question. I guess later on we're going to run the interview I had with Greg Warren from Better Collective, and I asked him, all these Canadian teams making these deals with Canadian sports books, do you think U.S. teams will start making deals with Canadian sports books? Because the point I made was,
a good point.
Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, when they play a home game, all they play is U.S. teams. I'm wondering if, like, the Yankees will do a deal in Canada with a Canadian sports book. It'd be very interesting.
It's a very.
I'm curious about the regulation. I'm a lawyer in the U.S., not in Canada, so I'm not too familiar with the Canadian rules and regulations. But I'm wondering if that will happen in the future.
Oh, we'll see. Like I said, both those things are kind of interesting points to even explore at some point.
Yeah.
But two other deals to talk about: PointsBet Canada. did a multi-year deal with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. I mean, that's the big company.
Sure.
That's all the pro teams.
Well, Maple Leafs did a deal with another.
They're doing deals with everybody.
They're doing deals with everyone. Yeah,
all of it's non-exclusive.
Yeah,
So-
well, I just mentioned his name, Greg Warren. He reported on it.
Yeah.
What was that?
So they are now a official sports betting partner. PointsBet Canada is official sports betting partner of the Maple Leafs, the Toronto Marlies, the Raptors, the Argonauts, and Toronto FC. There's the soccer team.
The Toronto Marlies?
That's the minor league hockey team. Even Greg mentioned it, too.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know what Marlies. Where'd they get that name?
That's the AHL team.
Okay.
For,
that must be the owner's
for the
name
Maple
or
Leafs.
something.
I don't. It could be any.
Marlies?
It could be a bird.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
And last but not least, for the deals, Flutter did a first-of-its-kind deal with both two of its brands under its overall umbrella with, who else? Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment.
I know we talked to Greg about that one.
This was the first time Flutter has ever done this, two brands in the same deal.
Yeah, so what was it? It was
PokerStars, and FanDuel.
And FanDuel.
FanDuel became Maple. I want to say it right. Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment's official sports betting partner, and PokerStars became the official gaming partner.
Yeah.
And that's not just for poker; it's actually for casino.
Yeah,
too.
they have an online casino.
So as soon as I think PokerStars has to go through some more approval and licensing before they actually do this deal. But
Okay.
once this deal is done, they're going to be able to have this deal complete, be the first of its kind. Like I said, I don't think they've ever done anything like this overseas either.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the Super Bowl, Gambit DC, which is the app run by Intralot.
Yeah.
During the Super Bowl, which should have been one of the most lucrative times, they got shut down out of the Apple Store. And so nobody who had an Apple device could use the app.
What weird timing.
Well, again, it's one of those mishandled updates.
Yeah, I guess.
And the software update wasn't approved by Apple, so Apple kicked the app out until the update came into compliance with what they need them to be.
Okay.
But Intralot paid DC, or paid to the DC Lottery, an amount of $500,000.
Okay.
For the lost money for the Super Bowl, as well as some inconvenience.
Okay.
And,
all right.
you know, again, the app, let's make it clear, the app didn't shut down completely. It was still running on Android, and it was still running on the PCs.
So it was okay on
Apple
computers.
devices were shut down.
Apple devices.
Right.
All right.
We have the NFL draft coming up. So
I gotta tell you, that's all I'm hearing about betting wise. That is such a huge event betting wise. It's just incredible. There's radio programs just devoted to mock drafts and who you're going to bet on and who's going to be in the top 5 and top 10, and it's just constant.
Well, Tennessee has released.
And by the way, I haven't even looked at my draft stuff.
Well, the state of Tennessee,
all right,
through the Sports Wagering Advisory Council, the SWAC, released their 2022 NFL draft guidelines.
Okay.
All the sports books have to follow these guidelines.
Sure.
And some of these kind of make sense. I mean, all pre-draft wagers must be made and accepted before the first selection of the draft.
It makes sense.
In-draft wagers are only permitted in the first 3 rounds.
All right.
Also, in-draft wagers must be placed and accepted by the books at least 2 selections before the actual selection they're betting on happens.
Okay.
That's kind of interesting.
By the way,
they have that.
I don't bet on the draft beyond the first night. I mean, I
bet on the draft.
First off,
one
I
time.
kind of lose interest after the first night because, you know, I can just look at my phone and see who's everyone going with. I don't need to watch it. But no, after the first night, I kind of, betting wise, I fall away.
Well, the last one is, like I said, two selections before the one you're betting on.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be hard to do if you're not watching a delayed draft.
Yeah, well,
I mean, see, the other problem is what happens if the book is following along without the delay?
Well, yeah, no. Sometimes there were what was it? The ESPN and the NFL Network. You know, sometimes they're not in sync.
No,
exactly.
No. Well,
so I don't know if it's that big of a difference, or I'm sure any delay would be a source of concern for betting wise and things like that. But no, it's an interesting point.
Yeah, and again,
and speaking of draft, you won big last year on draft.
I got Trey Lance right.
Trey Lance, you got that right.
His draft position. That was the only draft.
By the way, that was
I
the biggest shock for me, and you told me, oh yeah, I bet on that, and I got it. So.
I just heard too much chatter from the Niners about wanting him, and when they moved up to number 3.
Yeah.
I figured let me put the bet right before he got selected, which was actually good timing on my part.
Yeah, no, very good.
So last note for the this segment here. New horse racing betting authority was just announced. The Association of Racing Commissioners International, RCI, launched a new subsidiary called the Sports Betting Regulators Association.
All right.
The SBRA. They will be empowered to oversee all betting-related activities within the horse racing industry. They're going to have their.
Don't they have that already?
This is now an independent subsidiary inside the horse.
Independent subsidiary,
yes.
or
they're part of it, but they're not part of it.
Well, wouldn't it be better if you were independent, not to be a subsidiary of anything?
Well, they're the horse racing, the racing commission.
If you're independent, be independent. Don't be a subsidiary.
I'm assuming this is like an administrative office where they have a administrative court dealing with one thing, then they have the regulatory side. So they're going to have their first.
Boy, am I splitting hairs too on that one.
You are. You're going right into the weeds on that one.
I'm independent, but I'm work under this other association.
First session will be July 10th up in Boston.
Okay.
So looking at those things, we've got...
Now, will this be open to the public kind of thing?
Well, it's happening at the Spectrum Gaming's National Council of Legislators.
Okay. It'd be very interesting to poke my head in on this and see what they're doing.
I'm very curious to see what they do.
Well, sports betting was supposed to help the horse racing industry. And,
yes.
Hopefully it has.
Let's talk some legislation. First off, Kentucky, not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Nice and simple. They didn't have the votes.
By the way, big news stories coming out of Kentucky. A lot of people were trying to bet on the March Madness.
GeoComply released those numbers.
A lot of people in Kentucky were trying to bet.
Matter of fact,
in
I have
other
those
states.
Numbers in my notes. Let me go get those so you can have those.
All right, good.
So we can actually hit that one.
Yeah. So what was happening? People were sitting in Kentucky and they were trying to bet online in another state. Was it Missouri they were trying to bet in? Or?
It was 3 different states.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
3 different states.
Yeah, right. They were just trying to get some betting in for the March Madness. So it was something like 500,000. Fails. If you want to call them that. So
well, some of those could have been just
people want
you
sports
weren't
betting down there.
It's
just that they can't push it through the legislature.
Yeah.
They got it all the way through, but they didn't get a vote on the final day of the legislative session for this year.
I'm curious if news stories like that really motivate the legislators, or they're just not listening to the people.
I don't know.
They're not.
I can't
listening
answer
to
that.
People. Obviously, people want to bet in huge numbers. So,
some of these states have a huge hump to get over in terms of the religious backgrounds of the voting population, and also their constituents too. So you got to
have strong lobby groups on either side.
Last 2 things for legislation, we've got New Hampshire and Maine.
Okay,
Maine seemed to be moving right along nice and smoothly. I know a lot of people were upset at the governor's bill that was giving the tribes exclusive control over mobile sports betting.
Sure.
So now a group of legislators have introduced a rival bill.
All right.
So they're going to be possibly voting on it very soon. If not, they already have by the time this airs. So we'll see what happens there. It's by a lot of the constituents, by the actual casinos in the state.
Okay.
So they want the casinos to have their say in terms of how everything's run.
Which, is kind of logical.
And last but not least, we have New Hampshire. New Hampshire is looking into Twin Spires.
Yes. Apparently, Twin Spires, I don't know how far along they are in the purchase of I guess it's a charity room called Chasers is it Salem, New Hampshire?
Salem, New Hampshire.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Well, it's regarding the Twin Spires app.
Yeah.
Not the historical horse racing machine.
Well,
that's already got the approval to go in.
Yeah,
so.
they're going to. I don't know what they're going to do in Chasers, but I know they're going to put in lots of machines dealing with horse racing or
historical horse racing machines.
Historical, and I guess they're virtual horse racing machines. So,
but the Department of Justice for New Hampshire, or the New Hampshire Department of Justice, is looking into Twin Spires because even though it's a horse betting app, and a lot of the people up in New Hampshire use it for betting on horse racing, it still technically is supposed to go and be approved and regulated by the New Hampshire Lottery, which is not.
Well, shouldn't they have done that?
Well, they've been
checked them out in the past.
They've been trying to close this loophole in their legislative and administrative rules for a while now, and they just can't seem to get that done. Twin Spires, we've been using this phrase with Canada. Twin Spires is a gray market app in New Hampshire.
All right. Well, well, let me ask you something. Will New Hampshire looking into Twin Spires, will that delay the purchase of Chasers Poker Room in New Hampshire?
That might be a little leveraging by the lottery if they want to get those historical horse racing machines in.
That's true.
So that just came across the wire the morning we're doing this.
Very interesting.
We'll see what happens there. It'll be fun to watch that one.
Yeah.
That's it for this week's book report. Keep those press releases and news stories coming in. info@turnpikesportsradio.com. And look forward to talking again next week about some more deals and sports betting numbers.
That'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.